We're Andrew and Sarah, and during December of 2023, we took our two daughters, Haley and Delaney, to Europe for over a week of Christmas market adventures. We traveled to Paris and Metz, France, and in last week's video, we shared our time in Stuttgart, Germany. While in Germany, we stayed with my friends from college and enjoyed a wonderful few days in the German Christmas markets with friends. And today, we begin the last and arguably the most anticipated leg of our trip, Disneyland Paris. After waking up and packing up the rest of our belongings, we hit the road to make our way back to the train station in Stuttgart. We only had to catch one train today, and this would take us straight from Stuttgart to Paris on a 3-hour fast train.
Now we're going back to Paris. Bye-bye.
This was a great option because we didn't have to get on and off the train with all of our belongings, and we could get to where we needed to be fast.
We are on the fast train back from Stuttgart to Paris, and Haley is here enjoying her cookie from the Christmas market, and today's finally the day we get to go to Disney. So but we have a G7 taxi that's supposed to pick us up and just take us straight to Disney. We looked into trains and all the things, and this is just how it worked out. It's probably going to be a little bit more than we wanted to pay for transportation, but I think the peace of mind of knowing it's going to be there waiting for us when we get to Paris, we can just put all our stuff in there, and it might take a little while to get to Disney, but we'll still get there to straight to the hotel around 4 and hopefully have dinner and get to see a little bit in the parks before we go to bed and rest up for a full day tomorrow. So slowly making our way back across Europe and one last adventure on our trip. Time is flying by.
However, our biggest problem was that we were facing backwards for the whole time, so poor Haley struggled with some motion sickness towards the end of our trip. And after 6 days of smooth travels, this is when things started to go downhill. We finally made it back to Paris and found our taxi waiting for us when we arrived. We loaded all of our stuff into the car and started to finally make our way out to Disneyland Paris. Now, Disneyland Paris is located about 45 kilometers east of Paris, so we knew we still had a decent trip ahead of us. Unfortunately, Haley hadn't fully recovered from her motion sickness on the train, and the start and stop traffic in the city did not help her at all. Luckily, we were prepared and able to help her, but I knew she was so ready to get out of the car and finally be in Disneyland. And unfortunately, that wasn't going to happen anytime soon, because if things weren't already bad enough, just a few minutes after we got out of the city, we suddenly started to hear a noise and some bumping, and our taxi had gotten a flat tire. Our driver had to pull over on a major highway and change his tire right in the median of an off-ramp. He also had to take some of our bags out of the trunk to get the tire, and Andrew had to stand outside so he could jack the car up. We were all just so desperate to get to Disneyland at this point, and this is not what we needed. All things considered, it could have been much worse, and we did finally make it to the Hotel Cheyenne on the Disneyland property by mid-afternoon. However, we continued to experience problems once we arrived at the hotel, and we had some mishaps with our booking. Now, when we went to book the hotel, we had made sure that we had requested a pack and play for our room, but when we went to check in, they weren't 100% sure if they had one available for us. I definitely should have called them the day before or even that morning to confirm, but I just didn't think about it. So after about 45 minutes of trying to get everything figured out, we were finally able to get to our room to dump our stuff to head to the parks.
All right, we made it to our hotel. Okay, let's start that over. All right, we've made it to our hotel. The lights aren't turning on, so, we're dealing with one thing at a time, but I think Haley needs a Disney surprise. What do you think?
Fine.
Would you like to dress like Sleeping Beauty when we go into Disney World?
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it perfect?
Yeah, fancy.
All right, should we get you dressed?
Yeah. Hey, Dad, look.
Beautiful!
When we were planning our trip, we had originally planned on just going to the park the next day and spending this first night in their Disney Village area. However, when we went to book our tickets, there were no single-day tickets available, and we could only purchase 2-day park hopper tickets. Again, in hindsight, we probably should have just waited a day to check back or reached out to Disney over the phone to try to get this settled, but we were so afraid we wouldn't be able to go at all if we waited, so we ended up purchasing the 2-day tickets, and it ended up working out so well.
Haley, where are we going now?
Disneyland.
All right, give me a quick twirl.
The hotel we were staying in was about a 15-minute walk to the park, so we bundled everyone up and headed out so that we could finally make it into Disneyland Paris. Naturally, we were in the building that was as far away from the park as you could get, but after a day of travel, it was nice to get some fresh air. At this point, Haley was beyond excited to finally be going to her first Disney park, and she sang during our entire walk to the park. Oh my God, we're in Disney! So excited! We finally made it to the entrance around 5 and walked in right as a parade was going on. Haley saw so many of her favorite characters right off the bat, and I really had to hold back tears because it was so emotional to see her experiencing such a core memory and truly being so excited. We stayed and watched for a few minutes, but then decided to take advantage of the fact that lines are usually shorter during the parade to try and get on a couple of rides.
You want to see the castle?
Yeah.
We headed straight through the park to start with It's a Small World. This was my favorite ride as a kid, and although Haley was not quite as impressed as I was when I was younger, I think it was the perfect starter ride for her to see what the rest of the park experience would be like. Next, we went and waited in line for Dumbo, and we all had such a blast on this ride. I'm so sad that we didn't get a chance to go back and ride it again because I think this was one of the top rides for everyone.
Are we going? Make us go up.
We knew the girls were tired after a long day of travel, and we knew we had another long day ahead of us in the park tomorrow, so we decided to do one more ride for the night and ended up at the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Now it's time for Pirates.
Haley was not too sure about this ride, but she was so brave, and we were even able to convince her that some of the pirates and skulls were very silly. The last thing we did that night was grab a quick dinner at Casey's Corner. We all enjoyed some hot dogs, and Andrew and I thought we deserved a beer after making it this far in our trip. We also sat outside so we could have a view of the castle while we ate. The whole night was such a magical start to our time in Disneyland Paris, and I think it was so good for Haley to get a little taste of what theme parks are like before we jumped straight into a 12-hour day the next day.
All right, we are finishing up night 1 at Disneyland Paris. Haley's first time in a Disney theme park ever. What was your favorite thing that we did tonight?
The elephant one.
Oh, the elephant, the Dumbo ride. That was fun. Did you go up high?
Yep, I went up and down.
What did you see while you were riding the Dumbo ride?
The Princess Rose Castle.
What do you want to do tomorrow?
Play games, have fun, and we can even wear this tomorrow, but wear it all what I want.
Sounds good. All right, here comes Daddy. Let's go to bed.
We have so much in store for our full day in Disneyland Paris, and we hope that you will stick around to check out those adventures next week. If you enjoyed today's video, or if you want to follow us for more family travel tips, we'd love for you to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel so that you can follow along on all of our family travel adventures. You can also follow us on Instagram @DashExplore. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you'll join us next week for even more Disneyland Paris fun.